Hey guys, welcome to an Idiot Mods Skyrim, Part 9. It's cold out here. If you spent any time in Skyrim, you'll know it can be a cold and inhospitable place. But your character shows no sign of that. There's no vapour when they breathe out if they're in a cold area. They instantly dry off after a swimming session. And if you're caught in a blizzard, there's no evidence of it on your body at all. Today I'm going to be installing a few mods that will help us add to the immersion of the game. And these are the groundworks for some of the other mods I'm going to be installing later on, like Frostfall, and if you're using an overhaul mod like Skyrim or Percus Maximus or Requiem, those mods will work nicely together. Let's go into the Nexus and make a start. So the first mod is Winter is Coming, Cloaks, by Nivea. And this does exactly what you expect. It adds cloaks to Skyrim. These are the fur ones. There's another mod called Cloaks of Skyrim, which is on the list to do, as you'll see on the top, and that adds cloth ones, and they do work together rather well. As you'll see here, currently this mod provides 9 bear cloaks, bear hoods, armoured light bear hoods, armoured heavy bear hoods, and wolf ones, and is fully compatible with either Frostfall or Hypothermia. To craft them, you have to have a fur crafting kit that requires these requisites here. Only requirements for this mod are to have Skyrim on Steam, the official version, running at least 1.9.32. If you're on Steam, you're automatically on the highest level anyway, so we should be fine there. And then it says main plugins, and you only use one. The first one, and the one I will be using, places cloaks on non-player characters with vendors, and you can craft them. The second choice is a plugin that makes the cloaks only craftable. That means you will not find them on NPCs or for sale. The third option is the same as the first one, with the exception that you won't find any guards wearing cloaks. I think the first one makes more sense, have them throughout Skyrim, because let's face it, it's that cold an area, everyone's going to want one. And it does recommend that we install another mod called 360 Walk and Run, as this may remove some of the clipping with cloaks. I haven't used that before, so I'm going to have a look at that one in the near future. However, along the other suggested mods, we have Frostfall here. Well, that's on my list of things to do, as I mentioned earlier. Wet and Cold, as you'll see at the top, is on my list. Cloaks of Skyrim, once again, it's the next mod we're going to install. Hoth Trooper 44 mods. These are immersive armours and immersive weapons, and I'm going to be installing those anyway, so that's on my list of things to do. Right, let's go into files and get this downloaded. Right, so in the main files there are two options. There is the manual install or the Nexus Mod Manager install. Now obviously we're using Mod Organizer, so it uses the same installer as Nexus Mod Manager, so we can click download with Manager. There's an optional file, but this is for the manual version only, so we don't need that. Under the miscellaneous we have textures, so there's the large, the medium and the small. I'm going to select the medium, and then there's the older versions. So we've got the files we need. Let's go on to our next one, which I have mentioned before, is Cloaks of Skyrim by Noodles. This mod adds almost 100 new styles of cloak to Skyrim that are available by crafting and finding level lists and saleable by vendors. You can enchant them, the same as the Winter is Coming ones. You can enchant them if you've got that skill, and they are fully compatible with Frostfall and Hypothermia. I have said I'm going to install Frostfall in the near future. I have to do some work with that one, as that's been updated and the version I was using is an older version, so I have to do some updating. I'm going to try and do that on a second computer and update all my mods that way. Try and video bits and pieces that I can, so I can show you what I'm doing before I restart my playthrough. So I'm going to go along to the files and download Cloaks of Skyrim 1.2, and we also want the Dawnguard patch. And the third mod for today is Wet and Cold. This is one of those mods that adds something that should have been in the game from the start, and that is that when you're in a cold area, you'll see vapour when you breathe out. If you're caught in a blizzard, it reduces the speed you move, and you will see evidence of the snow covering your armour, in your hair, all over your body. It also goes one step further. If you go for a swim and get out, you are a darker shade as you would be when you're wet, and you will visibly drip, and as you walk you will have a soggy feet sound effect. This mod is by Usoku, who also does several other mods, one of which is I Need, which I would recommend as a mod anyway, and goes well with the way I'm building this up, because I have been using I Need before. As you'll see, it now says this one is compatible with Campfire. That is part of Frostfall, and it's part of the major update they've done, so I need to do a lot of work with this one. It also gains extra elements by having SKSE and Sky UI, and Winter is Coming and Cloaks of Skyrim. It also has several options that added, such as Go Home, where non-player characters will return to their home once it starts raining. Argonians, beggars and working class non-player characters will remain outdoors. The same in blizzards, most people will get home as soon as they can, and if they can't get to their home they will go to the local inn. And when it comes to compatibility, if you have a mod that does what this mod does but in a better way, this will automatically disable itself in favour of the mod that replaces it. For example, in Frostfall it will use the drips that come with Frostfall rather than the ones that come with this mod. But let's go into the files. There are only 2 files. I'm well interested in the latest version, so download with Manager. 4th mod today, and once again another mod that should have been in the game anyway, and that's Footprints by John W7. And this does exactly as you expect it to do. It lets you leave footprints in the snow or in the sand. I will draw your attention here to where it says, is there a performance hit? And it says it will likely depend on your system and how many mods you have already installed. I see no performance impact whatsoever. I'm in the same camp as the mod author. On my older system, that wasn't as strong as the one I have now, I had no problems with my FPS count. I didn't get any major hit. I might have lost maybe 1 frame at the most. I'm guessing with my newer system I should be perfectly fine. It's pretty much compatible with any other mod. It will leave footprints for all humanoid non-player characters: bears, deers, draugr, farmer, foxes, frost antranax, hag ravens, horses, saber cats. You can read the list. There's nothing new we need to worry about at the moment, so we can go along to Files and download the latest version. I will draw your attention now that it does require Dawnguard and Dragonborn. And the final one for today, and it may seem a little bit weird I've put this in here, but there is a reason behind it, and the mod is Bandoliers, Bags and Pouches by Drag10. The reason I've put this here is, as we are going to be adding Frostfall, a mod that for your own survival recommends that you have a tent and logs for making fires and a axe for chopping down trees and several other bits and pieces for survival. The more you can carry the better, and having all your bags and bandoliers ready in advance is a good idea. I also like the idea with this mod that you'll see you get things like book holders. So if your character is a mage, you can carry your favourite spell tome in its own little holder. There are also vial holders, rather good if you're an alchemist, or especially if you're an assassin. Have your little poisons in their own little vials on your belt. Just give your character that little bit more depth, as well as being able to carry a heck of a lot more. All these items are craftable, and you may find them on characters throughout the game, and there are even some for the Dark Brotherhood. So once again, I'm going to go along to the files and download the main file. You'll also notice there's an optional file here for the tight to mail bare body. If you are one of those people who likes to play a barbarian character where they're likely to be stripped to the waist anyway, this will make the bandoliers slightly tighter to your body. Right, so that's all the files we need. Let's go into my organizer and get them installed. Right, so let's go on to downloads. And the first one is Winter is Coming Cloaks. So double click to install. Most of these are just normal installs, guys, so I'll try and keep this as quick as possible. As we said, there are 3 choices. There is the main plugin, the craft only, or the no guards plugin. I'm quite happy with the main one, where I get to make them, buy them, or find them on NPCs, and guards also get them. And click next. There's an optional patch for Cloaks of Skyrim. Only use if you have Cloaks of Skyrim mod. This patch edits the level lists and outfit lists to play nicely with each other. You need this patch even if you have a bash patch. Well, we're going to need this patch anyway. I'm going to select the main cloaks patch because I'm quite happy with Imperials having their cloaks, and click next. And now I'm going to install the cloaks texture pack as well. So double click, winter is coming cloaks, that's fine, manual, looks good, and click OK, and I'm going to merge it. So that will mean all the cloaks in here I've now got the 2048 by 2048 resolution textures, and I can activate that. You will notice we have a warning up here that says we have a potential problem with our setup. We click it, missing masters, and it's because we don't have the cloaks ESP. We're going to sort that out in a second, so for the time being we can ignore this. Normally, as the creator and mod organizer says, if anyone recommends you ignore this, give them a slap round the face. However, we're going to be a few seconds. That should disappear in the next 15 seconds. Close it now. I'm going to go to Cloaks of Skyrim, double click, manual install, looks good, click OK, and if we enable it, our warning's gone. It's recognised we now have the ESP from Cloaks of Skyrim that winter is coming needed for that patch. Now going to install the Cloaks of Skyrim Dawnguard. I can leave it as the same name and we'll just merge them in a second. We can merge those two. Next is Wet and Cold. We have an installer and we have an option to add several things. Do we want the ashes? Well, if you have got Dragonborn and are likely to be visiting Solstheim, why the heck not? High res fur cloaks. The base mod contains 1024 by 1024 fur cloak textures. The option will bump them up to 2048. Well, we've just installed a mod that does that anyway, so we might as well continue that. Are we going to have multi-monitor drips? Well, I only have one monitor at the moment. If you have more than that, obviously you want to check that. And modded children hat meshes. If you have a mod that overhauls children installed, fur hoods need to be adjusted to properly fit their heads. Well, I don't have any mods that overhaul children, so I can ignore that one and click next. And enable that one. Then footprints, double click, manual, looks good. And finally, bandoliers, bags and pouches, manual. We have no data on the top level. We'll click this little arrow. Once again, we have no data folder here, but we do have the ESP and all the other things that we normally get below the data folder here. So that means that this 1.2 is our data folder. Click to highlight, right click, set as data directory. It now looks good. We can click OK and enable that and the footprints. A quick look at the plugins. Cloaks Dawnguard ESP hasn't been checked. I'll enable it now. Then I'm going to go and run loop and make sure I've got everything in the right order. And let's have a quick look at the order they're going to be in. And you'll see it's moved cloaks above winter is coming cloaks and left the Cloaks Dawnguard patch below. That should be fine. Click apply and close loop. Then we can go in game and have a look and see if we made any changes. Here we are at the same place overlooking the College at Winterhold. When I pull back, we now have water vapour from our mouth when we breathe out, as does Alia in the background, you'll notice. We're also getting covered in snow with what's blowing about, and when we walk We leave footprints in the snow. And also Ilia has managed to treat herself to a cloak. Where did you take that from? You didn't have a spare, did you? No? Lovely, I'm just going to freeze to death then. Right. So we know that cloaks are working. We know that footprints are working. We believe wet and cold is working, because let's face it, we're looking cold. Let's go along to somewhere where we can craft things and have a look and see if that's installed too. So we're just outside Raven Rock on the island of Solstein. We are indeed leaving footprints in the ash. Let's go along to the nearest smithy and get some crafting done. I've come to an underground smithing area in Solstein, and I'm going to go to the tanning rack and start making some of these items. Use the rack. I can make all manner of bandoliers and pouches. I can also make some leather while I'm here out of the pelts I have from the creatures I've killed. So I'm going to do that. Just make all the leather I've got up. I want to leave those because I want to keep the snow bear pelts. Right, so the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to make Frasia's The Wilds Nordic Tailoring Book, and I'm going to make a fur crafting kit. With those two items I can now make pretty much any cloak in the game. So let's have a look. What do I want to do? Well, let's make a bandolier first. I've got a lot of black dyed leather, thank you console, so I'm going to do a black bandolier. And to go with my black bandolier, I'm going to have it with a big thick shoulder pad so it sits on my shoulder nice and comfortably. I'm going to make it into a large dark bandolier. Increase the capacity even more from 75 to 100. And then I'm going to give it a large dark bandolier shoulder pad so it's a big impressive piece of kit. I'm also going to make a book holder to my back left and a pouch for my back right and front left, and I'm going to make a front right vial holder. And then I'm going to make myself a nice cloak. Let's have a look. What can I make? I can make all sorts of different hide ones. I want a nice thick fluffy one. I'm going to go for a big thick luxurious... Ooh, a snow bear one. There you go. A snow bear cloak. And a snow bear hood to go with it. Should be nice and warm in a cold area. And I think that's it for the time being. So let's have a look at our character. Right, so the first thing I'm going to put on is my dark bandolier with the shoulder pad. There you go. It does clip a little bit with the armour that I'm wearing. As a matter of fact, it clips quite a lot with the armour I'm wearing. Doesn't matter too much. We're going to be covering it up with a cloak anyway, so... Let's put on the rest of these pouches. So we have a back left, back right, front left, so we have a large, so I didn't put the large one on, I put the small one on, eh dear, and some vial holders on the front as well. There you go. You see, I can carry my favourite spell tome there, and my potions there. And basically I'm tooled up to carry a lot more stuff. My capacity is now 640. So I can carry a whole lot more. There's at least 200 over what I was carrying before. Let's have a look at this cloak. So we have a snow bear cloak and a snow bear hood. There you go. I think with the outfit that cloak looks better than dark one. So with a quick change of armour, I think my adventurer is now better equipped for life in a colder, harsher version of Skyrim. And I think I've taken up enough of your time. If this has helped, give me a like, write a comment, maybe even subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.